Like, tell me about Wednesday night. What happened?
Well, Mary was in Lexington, Kentucky on her travel nursing assignment. I was here at the house in Midway. I was watching the news, and so I was watching it live. And, they break on in, and they're showing the clip, and then they verified it was a Black Hawk, collided with an airliner. I just knew it was him. So immediately I'm like calling Mary, I'm texting Ryan on the phone. My text messages wouldn't deliver to the service, which now I'm starting to really get nervous. Call Mary and say, there's been an accident, what's going on? And she's telling me, well, he hasn't been flying for weeks. It's not him. Plus there's a whole squadron of Black Hawks there, and it could be anybody, you don't know. It's like, I know that it's him.
And then I got a phone call from our daughter-in-law asking me if I saw it, and I had, because I turned it on after he told me about it, and I said, but Ryan isn't flying anymore, and she goes, yes, he is. He started back about 3 weeks ago. So then my heart just dropped. And she said she couldn't get a hold of him either, and she was trying to get a hold of people in his battalion, and couldn't get a hold of any of them, but I'm sure they were all busy.
Yeah, they're supporting the disaster that just happened, so everybody's scrambling on base.
And so then she decided to just go up to base on her own, and I said, just call me. I don't care what time it is. Just call me back when you find out something. And so we're just texting back and forth while we're watching them play the same thing over and over again on the TV, and I finally shut it off because I didn't want to look at it anymore. And maybe an hour later, she called me back and said that it was his Black Hawk.
Just unbelievable. It's like on the ground. Just totally takes your breath away. It's just unreal. It's just unreal. And then everything else just started unfolding. I don't think that either one of us probably had sleep in 24 hours after that. And, then I'm sitting on the couch at like 9 a.m. the next morning, and you get the knock at the door with 2 Army officers, preparing yourself for the worst nightmare you can ever imagine by having 2 people tell you what you already know. And it's just unreal.
And so it hasn't even been a week yet, but I mean, you were starting to tell me just what this week has been like for you, waking up in the middle of the night, or I know today is Sunday. That was an important day for your family, the day that you guys would FaceTime. I mean, what has the past week been like? Have you fully processed yet, or you feel like you're in different stages of the grief?
I think it's starting to come together more, but it still doesn't feel real. Like this couldn't have happened. It's not supposed to happen here.
Our daughter came over, I told her about the accident at 9 o'clock when it had happened. She's like, well, it's not him. And then after we knew, I called her up, and, she comes in and we're just crying. She's like, they're going to call us up any minute and tell us that it's a mistake. It's a mistake, that this isn't happening, It's like, unfortunately, it's a different world now, Here we are looking towards our retirement, and it's like, what's retirement without her boy?
And she's it hits her hard because we always told her they needed to stay close to each other, because when we're gone, they're all they have. And now she's lost her person.
Yeah, and they were very close.
It's very hard.
And I know you guys bought this property to be close to him when he was stationed around here. And I know you were mentioning that you hope maybe one day your grandson will be able to come out here and fish. Just talk to me about that.
Well, we were living in Atlanta, and we had the opportunity to move out to the country. I don't know if that's exactly what Mary wanted to do, but the idea was to move on out here, and I wanted this to be a multi-generational home. My daughter was living with us at the time. It's 5 acres, so we could build another house or a little bungalow. And so that's what I was hoping for, that, our retirement would be, Ryan would be living right next door, and Taryn would be living right next door. And that's really the vision that I had for this place. And I mean, maybe Taryn will still do it, but life without Ryan, it's just not the same, you know.
And so tell me about him. You guys were telling me a little bit before, but it sounds like he was absolutely destined to be in the military from kind of all the signs at a young age.
For sure. He's very mechanically minded. He always has been. He would just get his hands on something, figure out how it worked. When he was in elementary school, he would go online and just research different things. He came and told me how a water treatment plant runs from top to bottom, just from researching it on his own.
His presence would be, you know, he was a real Star. Taryn would always come a nerd or a geek, and he into Star Wars. And his Christmas birthday presents would be like the Star Wars schematic books. And I mean, people that have worked with them, it's like Ryan could quote like pages from the instruction manual. You know, no, that bolt gets turned another half of inch, and that's why he loved what he did. I mean, he was very good and could remember everything. Helped me set up the Wi-Fi in our house, and helped, you know, when we built him a computer, he was right there next to me from the time he was 5 years old. He was like a little shadow, and he was definitely something.
He was very smart, and he could have done anything in the world that he wanted to, and he chose to serve.
Yep. When he took the ASVAB, which is the military SAT test, you know, the reason he went with the Army is they basically said you can have any vocation you want, and this is the vocation he chose. I never saw any regret. He loved it. Every time he got in the helicopter, it was like a new adventure. And he wanted to fly. He had an issue with his eye and couldn't qualify medically. But I have no doubt that if something happened, he could have probably gotten into the pilot's seat and flew that jet.
And I know you were saying that he was kind of introverted before he joined the Marine Corps ROTC, but you really saw how much the military changed him and changed the man that he turned into. So talk to me about that.
He was painfully shy when he was younger. So it really shocked us when he wanted to go into ROTC, because that's a huge group of kids, and I was afraid he would just get lost in the shuffle, but they just took him in and just pulled out whatever presence he had in there that he couldn't let out on his own, and they totally changed him for the better. And he became a mentor and a leader as he went up through his high school years. It was just a wonderful program.
Yep, and that was the ROTC program was a Marine Corps program. So, you know, when he was getting ready to sign up for the military, which he told us way in advance he was going to do, I mean, you kind of assume he's been acclimated to the Marines, he's going to go with the Marines. But, you know, the Marines didn't offer as many vocations as the Army did, so he ended up choosing the Army.
And I know you guys were telling me that, you know, the military is like a huge family. And over the last week, you've been hearing from so many of his fellow soldiers from his different duty stations. I guess, what has it been like? I've been reading some of the stuff that they have said about him online, just the type of person he was. Just talk to me about the military family and how much support they've given you guys over the last week and what they've been saying about him.
It's been amazing. I mean, my family typically communicates through Facebook, so posts, but then, I mean, it spreads really quick. And one post, and then they posted the notification in the Parkview High School Facebook page. Then it sort of ballooned from there, but I've had people reaching out that knew him, went to basic with him, you know, in high school, you get separated from people. Where are people now? I've had previous commanders sending me pictures of him that I've never seen, sent me an award picture. I never even knew he received the award. It's really been an incredible outpouring from just every different direction. And even the people that didn't know it, that are like military bound, there is a sense of community that you just can't explain. It's that military community, and they're like, you know, anything that we can do. They don't even know you, but they're a fellow Army person, and they're there for you.
And it sounds like he was really proud of his service.
Oh, yes.
Like he felt like he was living a life of purpose. That's what I'm kind of sensing from you guys. Could you just describe that a little bit about his kind of patriotism, his sense of service and duty?
He's just an all-around good guy. He would help anybody. He would give you the shirt off his back if he could. And it just made him feel good to serve the country.
Yeah.
And even from what I've heard from the people that have contacted us, they said that he was just a great soldier. He was a great Black Hawk mechanic, great crew chief. He would mentor people. They were amazed at how much he knew, even when he was relatively new at it. He just dove in and just did whatever he needed to do.
The next week, you guys are going to be going back, and I guess the base is going to be doing some sort of celebration of life, or I guess talk to me about some of the things that are going to be coming up in the next few days for you guys.
Well, when tragedy happens, the Army has their Casualty Assistance Officer program. They've been phenomenal, so they sort of step in to help you with everything that's... There's a million things that are happening, you know, let us know when Ryan's body was recovered, and there are events going on. Right now, there's a plan for VIP service. They're trying to coordinate that.
That's with all three.
All three
crew
soldiers. That'll be like like something I've seen on TV. You know, a 21 gun salute they're going to do. But his base, Fort Belvoir, they're going to have a celebration of life this Wednesday, and so that just like spontaneously was like decided like yesterday. So the officer calls me up and it's like, Gary, you know, would you like to go? It's like, yeah, I'd like to go. It's like, no problem. We'll make all the arrangements and we'll get you there. Shortly after that, some discussion came out of the White House that they would like to extend an invitation to go with the Vice President to see the White House. So that could be happening in process. So that office is tracking all of those activities. What else?
They offered to fly us over the crash site.
American Airlines is coordinating that with the victims from the plane flight, and you know.
Yeah,
so,
they actually did that with them this morning, I believe, but we decided we didn't really want to do that.
so,
Too much for you guys. And we were talking a little bit about, I mean, you guys seem to watch the news a lot, I've noticed. And,
He does.
Okay, so you've been watching some of the coverage of all of this and what, you know, our president has said in the aftermath. I guess, what has your guys' reaction been to some of the conversation around what has happened?
This isn't the appropriate time to be doing that. There's not just the crew members, but all the people on the plane. So many families are grieving over that. And yes, we would like some answers, but not all the finger pointing. It's a tragedy that this happened, but I believe it was just a freak accident. It would be nice to find out how it actually happened so that they can learn from it, not blame people for it.
I've started to just try and tune that out. So, you know, I'll watch the updates that are coming about, you know, okay, you know, we're finding out some information, and tune out when it gets political. I mean, it's a shame that's what's going on. And, you know, we were just happy that, you know, the other two pilots have been recovered. You know, they were Ryan's people, Ryan's friends. So we're so happy for those families that those two pilots were found, and the three of them can be together now.
And I know we were talking about before, originally when he was potentially thinking about joining the Marine Corps, you guys thought infantry, that sounds really dangerous.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about just sometimes having a child pass doing what they love can maybe bring a little bit of comfort or a sense of peace. I guess, how do you feel now that it's been a few days thinking about it? I don't know if you've sort of do you regret that he joined the Army? Are you proud of him? I mean, just kind of piecing it. This is obviously what happened, right?
Hard to play the what if game.
Right.
You know, if only he had any vocation. You know, if he had chosen anything other than this vocation, maybe things are different. But you know, maybe he would have been in Afghanistan and something different would have happened. So I don't really worry about it. And I supported him. You know, the one thing that I had told him, it's like, don't let me be one of those people that gets the knock at the door from the Army. It's the only promise he couldn't keep.
He couldn't even make that promise because, I mean, that's not possible. But I know when he first talked about going into the military, I was scared for him, but I was fine with it. And he always said, how can you let him go do this? And I'm like, well, he wasn't quite an adult, but, you know, he should be able to choose whatever vocation he wants, no matter what it is. He could be a police officer and get shot in the field, or
And
he could be an electrician, get electrocuted.
kids always think they're invulnerable too, and that's what really worried me when he went to Afghanistan. You know, Ryan would be the first to volunteer, and not realizing how dangerous this could be. That wouldn't even be a factor. He would just volunteer, and it's like, please. I appreciate the fact that you're so, you know, that you want to be involved, but maybe try not to be so enthusiastic.
What do you think you're going to miss the most about him? I don't know if that's even something a parent can say, because it's going to be everything, right? But
we were movie buddies, you know,
Yeah.
that was a big thing for me. We would watch movies together, introduced him to Star Wars, and, you know, seeing him fall in love with R2-D2 the way I did when I was 13 years old, and, you know, watching The Lord of the Rings together, and we actually would take him out of school and, you know, go when the movie would first open in The Matrix, and so those memories of just sitting there watching him, holding his hand when he was little at the movie theater, incredibly precious to me.
Yeah. He used to work at Disney, and so when we moved to Georgia, that was the primary place that the kids wanted to go on vacation whenever we went back home to visit. And I always look forward to both of them having kids and us going back there as a family. And now, of course, we'd be happy to take Wyatt there, but it won't be the same without Ryan.
And, you know, seeing Ryan become a father, he would come to me with all the same trepidation that I had when we were becoming parents. You know, am I going to be good at this, and how do I handle this? And not that long ago, he was like, Dad, I was really worried, but I just have to say that I just can't spend enough time with this little guy. Every day he does a different expression, or, you know, he climbs on my head, or I get to put him on my shoulder. I just can't spend enough time. And, you know, unfortunately, his son won't get to know what a wonderful guy he really was. So he was a great dad.
is there anything else you guys want people to know about him, or just when we think about him and remember him, that you didn't get a chance to kind of share? There's so much, I'm sure.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, he was just a great kid, and he grew up to be a great person.
Yeah. It's what we're proudest of. We wondered if we would be good parents, and, you know, we raised two great human beings that are very compassionate, enthusiastic, loving, want to help other people. They're very quiet.
So,
like Mom.
yes. I don't know. Yeah, there was just so much. He
was always
hard
there
to
for somebody.
explain.
You know, people that he worked with. You know, somebody he didn't even know had a car problem, and you could, I guess they have like bays. You could bring your car on base, and he's like, "Bring your car on base. We'll tear the engine apart." He would just do it. It's like, you don't even know this person.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. They were family. Everybody on the base is family. So it would always just be funny to Ryan talk about his people.
Yeah.
These are my people.
Dan?
You guys can look at her when you answer it, and you can ask it if you want in your own words, but you talked about what Sundays are normally like and what tonight's going to be like, and I'm just wondering if you can...
So Sunday was your FaceTime day. I guess talk to me about what a normal Sunday was, and Do you think that today is going to hit you a little bit in a few hours?
I think so. Because I've been a travel nurse for over a year, so we've been apart for a while. So he would FaceTime us individually. He would usually call him and then call me, mostly so that we could see Wyatt.
Yeah.
And, we would just talk about anything and everything. And
I mean, the convenience of having FaceTime. I mean, a generation ago, you would have to, I'd call my mom and dad every week, but you're on the phone.
Yeah.
FaceTime. At least we had it was a real blessing. We got to see the baby growing up. It at least gives you a whole new dimension of communicating with your kid.
but we did it just about every single week. And
But I would pester him all the time. So, I mean, like the next day, I'm, just
Texting all the
want
time.
to text him, and it's like, you just feel empty.
Yeah.
It's hollow. You just get this hollow feeling like, wow, it's hard to believe that he's not here anymore.
Yeah. Is there anything specifically, like when you woke up, were you thinking about some specific memory that sort of made you emotional, or was it just everything hitting you at once?
I don't know. I just, I tend to probably get more emotional than married. I just think, he'll always be my little boy. He'll always be that 8-year-old little boy that I see, running and playing. Yeah, he was a 28-year-old man, but I'll always think of him that way. And I just can't believe, I'm not going to see my little boy tomorrow or ever. It's really hard. And, when they recovered his body, watching the video, and we had known that, he had been recovered, and I mean, it's just so surreal to see them actually take that body bag out with the flag on it, and the officers all saluting and knowing my little boy is in there. It's pretty difficult.
What was it like to see them salute him?
Oh, I mean, that made it even more emotional that they were all standing at attention, and then they bring him on out, put him in the ambulance. One thing that I did want to say and thank is all those first responders, the people that sacrificed themselves to jump into that ice cold water, to go through, the plane and the wreckage that retrieved our son. Thank you. There are no words to express our thanks for that. You helped bring our boy home.